What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if Hogwarts Legacy will be at Summer Game Fest 2021. Now, we've talked about if this is going to be at E3. This Summer Game Fest obviously was already announced. It was announced several weeks, if not a couple months ago. But obviously, Jeff Keighley has announced the live stream, right? June 10th is the live stream. Going to be 2 hours, going to be some pretty cool stuff. And there is actually details in there that that could lead to Hogwarts Legacy, which I'll throw in this video, obviously, in a little bit. But then also just the general idea that this is a month-long, it's all throughout June, event where publishers and developers are going to be able to announce things, going to be able to give more details on things through, again, Jeff Keighley and Summer Game Fest. This did happen last year. It was pretty pathetic. It was pretty bad. That's okay. I've always said I honestly give him almost the benefit of the doubt that this one will be better. But I figured people may ask me specifically for some of the bigger games, so I wanted to do this one specifically for Hogwarts Legacy. So again, like, the day that this happens, the day that this starts, which is again June 10th, that is the live stream. So it's a 2-hour live stream. It is going to have over, I believe, 12 new announcements, so new games. But it's also going to have other stuff. And one thing Jeff Keighley did say, and I'm not 100% sure if he meant it for the live stream or for literally what Summer Game Fest is, like the entire month. But he did talk about how there's a lot of developers that are going to be able to give updates on things, the games that we haven't seen in a while, or just games that we've been looking for something for quite some time. They'll be going. And again, I don't know if that's assumption. Maybe he's throwing E3 in there, because sometimes when he does talk about events in general, he's not only talking about his own event, but he's also talking about all the events. So he could be talking about E3 as well. And again, I don't know for sure if it would be the live stream or he's just talking about the entire month. A couple things to remember too, by the way. He gave a list, and this is not an attack Jeff Keighley video. It's not an attack Summer Game Fest, because like I said, I'm generally not as critical of him and these events as other people are. I'm honestly more on his side than I think other people are. But he gave a list of over 30 publishers/developers that are going to be participating in his event. And one of them is Warner Bros. Okay, now, and we've said it. We said it in all the videos leading into E3, and I've said it constantly. You got Lego Star Wars, you got Monolith, right? You have Rocksteady with Suicide Squad, Kill at Justice League. You have Gotham Knights. You have Hogwarts Legacy. All of these games. There's a Back for Blood. You have a lot of games under that umbrella. It doesn't immediately go to just one game. Okay, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is he did this last year. So one of the things that I've tried to do so far is I'm not I am excited, but I'm not setting my expectations to the moon, but I'm also not expecting it to be garbage, but I'm kind of trying to put it in that middle. And one of the reasons I'm not 100% sold on it being spectacular is he did this last year. He did, and not like he did Summer Game Fest last year, but he announced publishers last year as well. Sony, Microsoft, Warner Bros. Actually, I would say, I don't remember the exact list of last year, but I would say 80 to 90% of the publishers or developers that are on the list this year that are participating are the same that were last year. So just because he has a fancy list does not mean it's immediately going to be amazing. To be honest with you, I do think Hogwarts Legacy fits better at E3. And one of the weaknesses I do think of Summer Game Fest that last year it ended up being quite big is it originally sounded and started like it was completely separate from everything else that was going on. So last year, E3 was canceled. There was a Gamescom. There was other stuff. But in general, it was kind of the replacement. But then what ended up happening is all of the conferences that other studios did. So when PlayStation did their future game show or whatever, they've called them different names depending on which one we're talking about. But when they did that June one, Summer Game Fest was almost not like a producer or a sponsor of it, but they were they attached their name to it. And I do think that's kind of a sly, not a scummy thing, but kind of getting in that realm where it's oh yeah, we're just going to kind of claim responsibility almost for this happening. And that's why Sony was on that list. So Sony wasn't on the list last year on Summer Game Fest because it happened at Summer Game Fest. They did their own thing, and they kind of just claimed it. Now, I'm not saying, again, that's like some illegal or some really negative thing Jeff Keighley does, because I do think he has good intention. But I'm trying to connect it with Hogwarts Legacy, where because we still don't know this, if he considers E3 almost part of Summer Game Fest, which I don't think he should. I don't think anybody should, but for some reason I get the sense that he kind of does. Then by saying Warner Bros. Is going to Summer Game Fest, all he could be saying is they're going to E3. So that's just something I want to kind of make apparent, that if we start to notice, and it's not going to really be something we notice until the first day of E3, to be honest, because again, the live stream with like big announcements, I am excited for that June 10th live stream. That's going to be 2 days before E3. That event is 2 days before the start of E3. So if it's not there, if Hogwarts Legacy isn't there, and to be honest with you, that's the best chance it has. Not counting E3. Not counting E3. I do think it has a really good chance of being at E3, but you could also say it has a pretty solid chance of being there as well, because while it's not a new game, it does fall in that criteria that I told you guys he was saying, that it falls in the criteria of a game that we know, but it's been ages since we've seen anything. So that alone, that statement alone, kind of puts it in the, not confident, not like I'm confident it's going to be at that June 10th thing, but where at least it becomes a solid possibility, in my opinion. Him saying something like that and Warner Bros. Going to Summer Game Fest leads it to a possibility. Now again, Warner Bros. Could be going for Lego Star Wars. It could be going for Back 4 Blood, all that stuff. It depends on what kind of is the standard, or how big or how small is Summer Game Fest. And then it also depends on, does he include E3 as part of Summer Game Fest, which again, I don't think is fair, and it's not exactly right, but he may end up doing that. So I would say, basically keep your eye on June 10th. That's a big, that live stream, keep your eye on it. I would say I'm not going and expecting it, so I guess you could say I don't think it's going to be there, okay? So if it is there, it would be a small surprise. And then keep your eye on if Warner Bros. Announces, or when they announce, their E3 show. That would be, in my opinion, the best chance in all of June, because if it's not there, if it's not at their E3 show, and it's not at the live stream of Jeff Keighley's thing, would it be announced, would it be talked about or shown some other random day in June, just like through Jeff Keighley and through Summer Game Fest? I really don't think that makes any sense whatsoever. So in my opinion, it goes, in order of the dates. It goes the live stream of June 10th of Summer Game Fest. Then it goes whichever day, June 12th through the 15th, I think is E3. Whichever one of those days and times is Warner Bros. That would be the next one to look at. And that's pretty much it until, honestly, maybe Gamescom. Because if it's not at those two things, I really don't think it drops on a random day. And the reason I say that really quick and we're done is because, we've said it before, like, could Hogwarts Legacy be announced here? Yes, but they could also just do it on their own, right? I've said that for years now, that a lot of these companies can just do things on their own. But when you're around these big things and your publisher is participating in them, it doesn't make sense to do it separate. So, like, yes, Hogwarts Legacy, they could do a thing tomorrow, but does it really make sense? Not necessarily, because Warner Bros. Is going, like, they're going to have a show at E3. Now, Warner Bros. Is going to participate in Summer Game Fest. So does it make sense for Hogwarts Legacy to go on its own now? No. Now, if they're not ready and they just want a random day in September, well, that makes more sense. You know what I mean? Because they weren't ready to go in May. They weren't ready to go in June. They weren't ready to go in July. They're ready to go in September, and they just pick a random day, and it will still make a splash because of the game's name, because of how big the game is. But to me, these big events, considering they're going, like their publisher, maybe not the developer, but the publisher is going, they're the best shot we got. So let me know, guys, in the comments below, what do you think? Do you expect Hogwarts at E3? Do you expect it at Summer Game Fest? Do you expect it not at all, which maybe is the safest way to go? Let me know. As always, make sure if you guys aren't already, you guys are subscribed here, bell icon turned on, hit the like button if you guys did like this video. You guys want to follow me over on Twitter, PodcastNow15 is my Twitter handle. All my social media stuff for all my other stuff is in the description below as well, okay? Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you all on the next video.